Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rant Line Radio, episode 607, coming to you on Wednesday, August 6th. We're going to talk about the latest in USC football. Fall camp has begun. We're going to talk about the coaches poll, some updates on USC's offensive line, and so much more. As always, you can follow us on social media at Rant of Troy. Email us, rantoftroy@fanside.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Whispering Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, joined along with my co-host here in the Rant of Troy studio in Los Angeles, Alicia D'Artola.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We're back. Fall camp has begun. The 2025 USC football season, for all intents and purposes, is basically here. How do you feel about fall camp? Or as our friend Simone Jabari would say, it's summer camp, which we all know is not true because summer camp is where you send a fat kid. Not a football.
Or literally any kid. Fall camp is always, it's exciting because the season's almost here.
Yeah.
But fall camp and spring camp have kind of, for me, taken on, maybe because I've just seen how the sausage gets made too much now. They feel quite irrelevant in a lot of ways. Like, I feel like fall camp and spring camp are just built to build up expectations of things that probably aren't going to be true. So I take everything that we hear from camp with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. I think the most useful thing that we can learn from fall camp is literally hints at what the depth chart's going to be. Like, hints, okay, who is running with the ones? Who is running with the twos? Anything else besides that, anything about, the defensive line looks so good. Well, they might look good because the offensive line's bad. Or, the offensive line's so bad. Well,
that's a perpetual question, isn't it? Yeah. Every single fall camp?
It's a zero-sum game. Like, oh, man, the receivers are dominant. Well, maybe the DBs are bad. Like, right. It's a zero-sum game. You can't really know what the team is made of until they're facing other opposition. And so I think that, like, the facts that we can glean from camp and from the things we learn from camp, like, those are the only valuable things. Just the hard facts of, like, this player is in line to play and this player is not. This player is running with the ones or competing with the twos or whatever.
Especially when you look at it, and this is a world in which the practice is not open to the media as it used to be, right? So, like, there were days, there were camps years ago where you would go to every single practice, fall camp, spring camp, practice during the season, and you would do a podcast on Patreon for 45 minutes talking about the daily updates from that practice and go into excruciating detail, right?
I mean, I would chart every pass that every quarterback threw and the results of it and, like, what I would be taking notes of, like, formations and where everybody was playing and who won each rep at the goal line.
You wouldn't share strategic things about
No, but, like, making notes of, like, which players were out there at in different drills, like 7-on-7 or when they were running, like, full team drills. Like, you start to see, when they're running with 3 receivers, like, these are the 3 that are going out there. When they're running with 2 receivers, like, these are the 2 that are out there or whatever. But also just, like, X receiver beat X cornerback on a slant route at the goal line in the goal line period. Mm-hmm. Like, just every single one of those, we got every detail. And now, we don't get those details, and the people who do see what limited stuff that they see are very restricted in what they can even say about what they're seeing out there. So our knowledge of what's going on in camp is so much more limited that, it's tough to say what is true and what isn't. Mm-hmm. Most of what we get is post-practice scrums with coaches and players, which certainly have their value. I think you can get some really good nuggets from those, but I will say that the vast majority of the answers that you'll get from a coach or from a player can be led by the question, not necessarily on purpose, not nefariously or anything like that, but, like, if you go to a player and ask, well, what do you think of Joe Schmo? chances are they're going to say something nice about Joe Schmo. Like, you're going to get a Joe Schmo's doing so good, but like, does that actually mean anything? No. So what I always say when you're looking at fall camp coverage, pay attention to who is brought up without having been asked about them.
Yeah.
Like, who do players or coaches highlight out of the blue without prompting? Those are the players. Those are the people that I think those observations have so much more meaning to them. Otherwise, it's just like, who the heck knows? So that's sort of my take, my overarching take on fall camp. It's just be careful how tied to things that come out of fall camp you end up being, because they're all through a lens of something.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, unprompted shout-outs, call-outs about players, I think, are the most telling things. Especially, we were talking about at Media Day, right? Looking at the Media Day transcripts, instances where, a coach would be asked about one player and then brings up another player while talking about that one player. Yeah, that's something that you're going to want to put a lot of weight on. So let's get into the news here. Let's get into the news that's just outside of camp, and then we'll get more into the actual camp news. The coaches poll is out. The coaches poll always comes out at the beginning of August. The AP poll comes out about a week or two before the games actually start. SC is unranked. They have 116 votes, which is good for 29th. If it was a top 30 poll, they would be ranked. But alas, they are not. This is the first time the Trojans are unranked in the coaches poll since 2019. That, of course, coming off of the dreaded 5-7 season that Clay Helton had in 2018. Trojans started 23rd last year going into the LSU game, and then promptly jumped up 10 spots after beating LSU in Las Vegas. Interesting coaches poll, though, because a lot of USC opponents are in there. Notre Dame is 5th, Oregon 7th, Illinois 12th, Michigan 14th. Those are 4 ranked opponents right there. 2 of them in the top 10, 3 of them in the top 12. 4 in the top 14.
Yeah, I mean, USC has some tough games on the schedule, and I think we got to circle Illinois as a very as the big first test of the schedule.
Yeah.
Right now, they're ranked 12th. Like, they're getting a lot of respect. A lot of that respect comes from the fact that they're returning a quarterback, which is my theory behind Illinois being 12 and Indiana being 19. It's like, returning quarterbacks.
The returning quarterback bump is real
is
in the
pretty
offseason.
significant.
Yeah.
But I mean, this goes to show, like, Illinois, you can't overlook Illinois as far as when we're looking at the season. You're looking at Notre Dame and Oregon are rightly the big games. Michigan at home, big game. But like, there are other teams on this schedule that could be tricky, and I think there are other teams on this schedule who will almost certainly find themselves ranked at some point during the season. I think you can never count out Iowa. I know Iowa is sort of a punchline at this point, but that, when you got a defense that tends to be as good as Iowa's, they will potentially rise
games
up there. Nebraska is one to watch. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting schedule that's obviously has many of its tests. And I guess the question for USC is, why aren't the Trojans ranked? How valid are the reasons for people not having the Trojans ranked? And what is USC going to do to answer the questions that are circling around? I wrote something on fansided.com about the questions that I have that explain why USC is not ranked in this poll and why I don't expect them to be ranked in the AP poll, frankly, when that comes out. I expect next week, but sometimes it's a little later. And my big 3 questions that I posed were, is Jaden Mayava the guy? Can Eric Gentry stay healthy? And will the offensive line remain functional throughout the whole season? And I think the Jaden Mayava question is certainly a reasonable one given how we saw him perform at times last season. I also think it's the easiest one to answer in the sense that, like, I think he will end up being the guy. I think that after a year of development, another offseason of development, coming in as the incumbent starter, like, I expect him to be a capable starting quarterback for USC and not be a huge question mark coming into this season, aside from less of the question mark of, like, can he be good, and more of the question mark of, like, how good can he be? Like, can he sniff elite status? Because if he does, that'll change a lot. But as far as, like, will he be a functional quarterback, I think absolutely he will be.
Yeah.
Eric
he was 3-1 with him last year. Right?
Yeah, 3-1 with him last year, not being functional all the time. Like, I think he was a very up and down quarterback, and the hope would be that as he matures and learns and develops, that he will create those valleys will be a lot more, shallow as far as relative to the peaks. And then with Eric Gentry, his whole career has been punctuated by injuries. Mm-hmm. So frankly and harshly, I'm sorry to say this, I really hope I'm wrong about this, but I think anyone who goes into this season thinking that Eric Gentry will be fully available for the entire season is kidding themselves. I think you have to prepare yourself for the inevitability of Eric Gentry having to miss games because of injury.
It's the Reese James thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was Daniel Sturridge, if we're gonna go back from a Liverpool perspective. So on that side, like my question about Eric Gentry is about how good can the defense be? I think the defense will be improved from last year. And I think that's pretty clear. I have a lot of faith in Danton Lynn. I think the additions that they've made in the transfer portal, recruiting and retention have all come together to form a defense that I think will be really solid this coming year. But I think if you have Kamari Ramsey and Eric Gentry on the field together, and one or two of the transfers click in a way that that you need them to, like, this defense could be really good, like really, really good.
Yeah.
But the ceiling of this defense is more limited the less often Eric Gentry is on the field, and so that's sort of my question on the defensive side. It's more about the ceiling of this defense is kind of dictated by Eric Gentry's health and a lot of other people's health, but mainly Eric Gentry.
Yeah, and when you're talking about preseason rankings, preseason polls, the ones that aren't, statistically based on some sort of algorithm of some sort, in the off season, in the preseason, when you're looking up team, I mean, we do this when we do, like a 20-page rundown ahead of our season predictions episode.
Yeah.
And we're looking at teams. We are looking at returning production. How many guys do they have back from last year? And it's very easy to put a lot of weight in teams that have their quarterback coming back.
Yeah.
It's just a natural thing to do. Teams with the fewest question marks get ranked higher. That's just the natural way of it, right? Mm-hmm. So, SC's got question marks. Would you call this a snub? Because I think you could say it is, given that SC is pretty much always at least ranked. Last year they were 23rd, coming off of a 8-5 season in which they lost their Heisman winning quarterback. If they're 23rd then with a defense that was absolutely atrocious, and had a million question marks last year, and the defense this year has way fewer question marks, then I think you can make the case that they could be, ranked this year. But again, is there a difference between 23rd and 29th? I really don't think so.
Not that much. I mean, when you're looking at anything after 15, it's all just throwing darts at a dartboard blindly. So, you can shuffle up. You can shuffle up all of the and it is multidimensional. You can shuffle up all of these things, and I think there's an argument for USC being in there over a lot of different teams that are in there. Like, I think Tennessee has huge questions. I think people are making a lot of assumptions about Florida. I think people are making a lot of assumptions about Texas A&M. BYU's in a weird spot now because of their quarterback situation. Like, there's a lot of question marks up and down the board. I just think USC's question marks are a little bit more extreme, and I think the last one is the most extreme. Mm-hmm. Because if you are, a lot of voters won't dip deeper than the quarterback question, and maybe that's their main reason for keeping USC out. But I think if you go beyond the surface on USC and look at what's going on with the offensive line, I think there is legitimate reason for concern about what USC can do this season offensively.
Yeah.
Because Jaden Mayava being able to be an elite quarterback is dependent on his offensive line giving him the support that he needs. So from an offensive line perspective, I think USC is walking the tightest tightrope I can remember in a long, long time from the offense. And USC has had seasons where we've come into the season and been uncertain about what's going to go on with the offensive line. This season is by far the most uncertain that I have looked at, simply because I can put together a starting five.
Yeah.
Then you go down into the two deep and you're like, okay, USC needs a lot of things to go right and a lot of players to be ready to play after just one season of development. And, offensive lines, I don't think you can go through a season and expect to be able, if you are able to have the same five start every single game of the season, you're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But when was the last time USC was able to do that? Just go, five all the way through. You need your 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th offensive linemen to be ready to go out there and play. And right now, USC's 6th, 7th, 8th, and not even that. USC's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th offensive linemen are complete unknowns for a variety of different reasons. But it's, this is USC leaping into the abyss, and they might have a bungee cord on them. I think that's entirely possible. I think Zach Hansen can come up and say, all these guys are ready to go, and they turn out to be ready to go. And then
it's the quality of the carabiner.
All of my worries about the season go away because of the preparation that was put in place and the recruiting that was done, and that everyone was ready to step up and go. But there is a reality where not everyone's ready to step up and go. Like, you have to acknowledge that reality. So I think skepticism about USC's offensive line is completely warranted when you look at who is available and in what state a projected two deep is. There's some fire that USC is playing with here.
Yeah, all those things are going to have to be answered. Hokie P in the chat said that he likes that SC is not ranked so far this year because there's little pressure as possible to start the season. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. We've talked about it a lot, that SC always seems to, when you write them off, they perform better than you think they will be.
It's always a better season when they're not ranked.
Yes. A lot of that is anecdotal because SC has not had that many seasons unranked. But we're going to see how that all comes together. Since we're talking about the offensive line, I want to really get into the DJ Wingfield thing. Transfer from Purdue, looking to play at guard. He played at guard last year for the Boilermakers. We talked about him last week. We talked about him before that. He's got an eligibility thing with whether or not one of his JUCO years will count, which will give him one more season or not. This is according to Ryan Karchi of the LA Times. His case has been transferred to a new judge, James Selna, who then denied Wingfield's request for a temporary restraining order, but set a hearing for August 18th in which the NCAA must show cause for why he should not get an injunction. The judge also intends to hear Wingfield's case and two others regarding NCAA eligibility, including UCLA wide receiver transfer Caden Robinson in the same August 18th hearing. So that's 12 days away. That looks to be like when you'll find out about this, whether or not FC will have Wingfield back. And he's not a returning starter because he's a new player to the Trojans, obviously. But if he's in there, he's someone who has started. He started last year for the Boilermakers in the Big Ten. But when you parse all this together, parse through it, where do you have more confidence or less? Because the wording of this, in which the NCAA must show cause for why he shouldn't get an injunction, makes it sound promising. But I don't know if I'm just reading too much into it. I don't know. I've
said, I think if if fairness were on the table, then I think this would be an easy thing to sort out. But the law isn't always fair, and that is what makes this all uncertain. When they say that the NCAA has to show cause for why he shouldn't get an injunction, to what degree is that the case? Because if it's that they have to say that, like, do they have to prove that it is strictly important that DJ Wingfield and Caden Robinson don't get to play this season because it's the integrity of the NCAA is at stake? Like, if that's their cause, then that's, I don't know, that's pretty weak. But if their cause is something closer to the rules say this, everybody signed up to follow these rules, the judge that allowed the exceptions to be made for others was not litigating the 5-year clock. The 5-year clock is the law of the NCAA, and sucks to be you. And if that, I mean, there is a world where that is cause for the NCAA. Like, sometimes cause is simply because I said so. And when you're the NCAA, like, you know, it could be as simple as that. But like, but that's the question of what is the judge actually wanting to hear? Because Wingfield and Robinson are arguing a financial stake in this. They're arguing that the NCAA is denying them hundreds of thousands of dollars of ability to profit from an NIL by not letting them be eligible. So, like, does the NCAA need to? I don't even know what arguments both sides need to make as far as ensuring that there is a temporary restraining order. Is this the kind of thing that the judge is willing to let it to give these guys their ability to play and then let this play out further down in the courts, like, later on? I don't know. None of this makes a lot of sense. I think USC needs to prepare as though they will not have DJ Wingfield.
Yeah.
And
he's a bonus at this point. It feels a lot. It's obviously not the same thing. Not exactly a 1-for-1, but it feels like 21 years ago, Mike Williams in August, and that whole ordeal. SC getting on the plane to, fly to Maryland to go play Virginia Tech, not knowing if Mike Williams is going to play or not, right? So Ryan Karchi did put together on Twitter a sort of a two deep of what he thinks SC looks like right now without Wingfield in there, which is, like, to your point, that's how we should process this as it stands now. If you get Wingfield, he's a bonus at this point. First team, left tackle, Elijah Page. Left guard, Micah Benuelos. Center, Jayonri Big General Reed. Right guard, Alani Noah. And right tackle, Tobias Raymond. Second team, Justin Tawanuu. At left tackle, left guard, Hayden Treader. Center, Killian O'Connor. Right guard, Kaelon Miller. And right tackle, Elijah Vicona. Alicia, a lot of chat in the chat, literally, about Vicona and the guys that SC could play on the offensive line. When you look at Karchi's two deep here, what are your takeaways?
My takeaway is that USC needs a lot of second-year players to be ready to play. And I think that we've talked about this in the past, that when you're looking at offensive linemen, I don't want offensive linemen to have to be relied on before their third year. Just in terms of development, in terms of learning a system, learning all that kind of stuff, maturing. I don't want to ask offensive linemen to be ready to go before their third year. And USC has now asked every single one of these guys, except for Big General, to be ready by, in year two. And Benuelos is the only one there that sort of, this will be his year 3. This will be his make or break. This is his go-to. Well, USC has already called on Elijah Page. USC has already called on Alani Noah, and they've already called on Tobias Raymond. with varied results. I might add, like, I think it's obvious Elijah Page has a lot of talent and ability. I think that he will. I'm not necessarily worrying too much about Page and his ability to hold down that left tackle spot. It would be great if USC can get him to be like a really, really stud at left tackle. But at this point, like, I think that if you get solid left tackle play from him, then you're feeling pretty good. I think he's shown that he can be there. It's just about consistency. With Alani Noah, again, like it's consistency and also just raising his level from where he's been at. He's shown signs. They're there, but also has had issues. Like all of these young offensive linemen that USC threw in because they didn't have anybody else. Tobias Raymond got thrown in and struggled at times, but because they didn't have anything else. And you sort of have to now hope that getting thrown into the fire has battle tested him and he's ready to go. And if he's not, then you need Justin Taonu to be ready to go as a sophomore, and you need Hayden Treader to be ready to go as a sophomore, or Elijah Vecona to be ready to go as a true freshman. Like these are asking a lot, and that's just talking about the recruited these are all 3-star guys that USC needs to have developed into capable starters who are ready to go out there and win football games. That's not even talking about the fact that in USC's current 2-deep, there's not one, but 2 walk-ons. And Killian O'Connor is a former walk-on now. Huge respect for Killian O'Connor. He's now been around long enough. These clearly they respect and rely on him. But also they went out and got a starting center to replace him as far as pecking order going forward. And they weren't willing to start him. They instead moved Jonah Monheim over to center instead of having Killian O'Connor take over as the former walk-on. So he is a backup, but he is right up there and one of the few that you look at in this back line and say they are potentially ready to stand in and do a job for USC. Everybody else is a giant question mark. And then you've got at right guard, Kaylon Miller, who is a walk-on, a redshirt freshman walk-on, who was a defensive lineman at Calabasas High School. Very good defensive lineman, 3-time all Marmont League. So he was very good. He and his twin brother get preferred walk-on spots last year. His twin brother is King Miller. He's a running back. But Kaylon has moved to offensive line and is now pushing, according to Lincoln Riley, battling Alani Noah for that right guard spot. So I'm just going to be straight up honest here. The fact that USC has a converted defensive lineman, walk-on redshirt freshman, in a battle for one of these starting spots that was supposed to be, this is a position that's taken care of and locked in. This is a concern for me personally. Kaylon Miller might be the next great USC walk-on. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it. I love a walk-on story. But we have to face the facts here too. This is the pool that USC is picking from. And it's I think if you had to rely on one redshirt freshman or one sophomore or one, true freshman, and you sort of hope that one of 3 is going to be the guy that's going to have to contribute right away. If you look at the offensive linemen that USC brought in this class, Elijah Vecona, Alex Payne, Willie Washer, and Aaron Dunn, of those 4, I would say, okay, of the 4, if one of them's ready to play right now, then that's great because you get one of those 4 figures it out. But right now, USC is in a place where they are sort of tying their hopes to a bunch of different guys who don't give them any wiggle room and create a situation where it's entirely possible that they aren't ready to play. It's entirely possible that they're not up to Big Ten level yet. I've got to be honest, this two deep does not inspire the kind of confidence that I want to have. Because I'm not looking at this two deep as like, and I know I've gone on forever, so I'll stop after this. I'm not looking at this two deep as like, can this two deep get USC to bowl eligibility? Because I think probably this two deep will get USC to bowl eligibility. But like, we should not be talking about that at USC. This needs to be a question of, can this two deep keep USC competitive in games against Oregon, Notre Dame, and Michigan? And I don't know that I can say for sure yes. That is my concern with this two deep.
Yeah, I think that they're going to have to prove it, right? They're going to have to prove that they have the ability to, play well and protect Mayava and create holes in the running game. SC was very good at run blocking last year. Had the highest yards per carry average in the Big Ten. We know that they struggled early on, especially against Michigan. The Michigan game was really bad from the offensive line perspective. They got better as the year went on, but they still weren't great. I think the only thing giving me some sort of optimism here, and this is entirely unfounded optimism, is the last year that we completely wrote off the offensive line was 2021.
Yeah.
And they were arguably the best unit on the entire team.
Hey, this is a completely fair observation.
So that's not to say that that's going to happen again. I do not think the offensive line is going to be the best unit on this team. It's probably going to be the wide receivers, the secondary or whatever. But the point being, lots of stuff can change from fall camp to how the season goes. There is the coaching change that has happened on the offensive line. We'll see if Hansen being in instead of Henson changes things for a full season. We'll see. We'll see how it all comes together.
This is going to be a fascinating challenge for Zach Hansen because if all of these guys turn out to work, then give Zach Hansen Coach of the Year award. Mm-hmm. Because not saying he can't do it, but the level of uncertainty around the number of players of these 10 that we're talking about, there are 2.5, 3 maybe, who you can legitimately say you're locked in here.
Yeah.
2.5 to 3 of 10. Mm-hmm. And the rest are just
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. So,
and you're banking to get to 3.5 if Wingfield can get in there, but
yeah,
he's a bonus at this point.
But even this is the funny thing. Even DJ Wingfield is not a magic bullet. DJ Wingfield he was a decent but not great lineman at Purdue, and some of that could have been about Purdue, Mm-hmm. But it's not like he was it's not like he was a world beater at Purdue. It's not like he's guaranteed to go out there and be a really good, offensive lineman for USC.
Yeah.
But it's much more likely that he can be a functional offensive lineman than what we currently know of Micah Benuelos, which is extremely little because we haven't seen enough of him. And when he has gone in, like a lot of the young guys that got thrown in, it wasn't always pretty, but you don't expect it to be pretty because you shouldn't be throwing in young guys in those situations. So, it's USC's fault and not the players' fault. But this season you're coming in with, it is USC's fault that the sheer number of these sophomores, second-year players have to be ready to go with little to no lead up.
Yeah.
It's not on them, it's on the program.
Yeah.
And you live with the bed that you made.
Yeah, you live with the bed that you made. It's always going to be harder when you have to bank on the transfer portal. This is something that you've talked about with Hythloday when you've done Oregon podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But I mean,
that's the one good thing is Hythloday's theory is that you can plug in one transfer offensive lineman and you can have your line work. but you can't plug in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so maybe it does work out that USC is no longer plugging in 2 or 3 offensive linemen. It's only 1, and the rest are homegrown. And we're gonna see how well USC has nurtured those plants.
I'm not gonna say it's gonna be 2021 all over again, because SC's coach in 2021 got fired in September. So
who was the offensive line coach in 2021? Was McGuire, Clay McGuire?
Yeah, Clay McGuire.
He
was the guy that Clay Helton should have hired in 2019 when he brought in the air raid offense under Graham Harrell.
Yeah.
In the chat, USC number 100 says the fact that Lincoln Riley said portal usage in year 2 is the biggest regret instead of not firing Grint and wasting Caleb's second year is astounding to me. It tells me that Lincoln Riley is still clueless. He's not going to say in a press conference that his biggest regret was not firing a coach. That is something that you might hear that if he's talking to you on the street. He's not going to say that in a press conference. Also, I think that for what it's worth, I think Lincoln Riley talking about the portal stuff and being forthright about it, I think shows a lot of self-awareness for what it is. He made decisions to go all in on the portal in 2020, going into the 2023 season, right? Understandably so, because it worked so well in year 1. It did not work well in year 2.
I would argue. I think I fundamentally disagree. It depends on what he meant by that. I think that I fundamentally disagree with the question of the portal in
year 2.
In year 2, so that would have been going into 2023.
Yeah.
Except if he means that they should have done more of what they did this year with guys like, we've talked about like Tamir Robinson and Kenny Durlacher and like these Jaw Jarrett, like these younger guys who
that's who they went out. They got Anthony Lucas.
No. But what I'm saying is on the offensive line. Like, okay. I think that the play should have been you get your next Emmanuel Pregnon. Because the thing is, Emmanuel Pregnon year 1 was not good. It was his second year that he came in and he put it all together. If in 2023 they had targeted a bunch of freshman or sophomore offensive linemen to come in and that you are not for this year, you are for 2024 or 2025, USC would be in a lot better place. But they didn't. The only offensive linemen they looked at were the sort of one and done grad transfers and the like. So
I think it's difficult because you're always going to be judged. We talk about this with recruiting all the time, right? Or coaches all the time. You're going to be judged when you get hired. You're going to be judged how the tenure goes. But that goes with coaching with everything, right? Except for the most part, people judge how decisions pan out than the decisions themselves.
Yes.
And we see this all the time. You and I listen to Big Brother podcast, right? And they were talking about on Big Brother how many times that there's a decision that gets made that has a 20% success rate, and then it works, and then everyone's convinced that was still the right decision based on confirmation bias. And I think that there is some I'm okay with Lincoln Riley talking about his regret in year 2, but the regret in year 2 is still based on confirmation bias. It didn't work. And so therefore it was a bad decision. And I think that's a little easy to say, because you go back and you look at the list of, and we did this a week or 2 ago, right? Where, transfer. Let's Google this. The names that SC brought in 23, Dorian Singer, Anthony Lucas, Bear Alexander, Emmanuel Pregnon, the offensive line guys that they went and then ended up not being able to work out. At the time, everybody was on board with those things. Yeah. They did not work. And because they did not work, I think it's easy to say that it was a regret of how he would have rather put his eggs in the high school basket at that point instead of doing something that didn't turn out. I understand that. I totally get it. I do think that it's a lot.
But there also were wins in that. Like Emmanuel Pregnon was a win before USC let him walked. Anthony Lucas was like he's been a starter when he's been healthy. It's just been the issue of health. Marshawn Lloyd was a home run. Tarquin played. Mason Cobb was a regular starter. Singer was obviously a dud, but Christian Roland Wallace was a really important starter for USC in that year that he was there. Jamal Muhammad, starter. Yeah. Keon Barrs, probably wasted. Definitely.
I'm willing to say that Mason Cobb's issue was coaching related.
Well, yeah.
Because he was much better last year than he was the first year, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, let's get to the other sort of news, the news that came out today. I am going to preface this as watch list season. We say this every year is the biggest, dumbest. Do not buy into any of this kind of stuff too much kind of stuff.
What matters less than fall camp quotes? Watch lists.
Yes. However, just talking about this from a strict how the sausage is made kind of way. Just like with fall camp quotes, you're writing a story on Joe Blow, and then you ask a question about Joe Blow, and then there's a long answer about Joe Blow, and then everybody else writes a story about Joe Blow, and then now there's written record about Joe Blow turning heads in camp because of all this kind of stuff. Like, that's how things work, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at previews and you're putting together information about teams, we do this all the time when we're putting together a 20-page rundown of a season predictions episode where we're looking at, I've already written my little preview notes for Missouri State and Georgia Southern, and I have written down first team preseason all Sun Belt or whatever, right? About whoever the player is. Those things that you write down, like Biletnikoff watch list stuff, affects how you discuss players going forward from a media perspective, because those are listed in the media guide when it's week 3 and this game is going to be on Big Ten Network, and the Big Ten Network announcers are calling the game. They haven't called SC so far this season. They're going to look in the media guide and they're going to say, in this, so-and-so was, he was on the watch list, so then I need to account for this dude. That kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is how these things matter.
Name recognition also matters for voting on actual, like, all whatever teams that that are actually the real teams. Like,
like, this stuff shouldn't matter. I understand how it does when you look at how the sausage is made, right? Anyways, so what I'm about to say, all the opinions I have here, surface level, do not mean anything. Put zero stock in this. Mekhi Lemon named to the 2025 Biletnikoff Award watch list. Understandably so. 52 catches, 764 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. But Jacoby Lane left off the watch list. On the surface, this to me, and then you look at it and you go, I'm sort of offended from the preseason 30,000-foot view of it all. Jacoby Lane had 12 touchdowns last season, which is still mind-blowing to me. I still don't believe that he had 12 touchdowns, but he did.
Yep.
Alicia, how many wide receivers in the Big Ten had more touchdowns than Jacoby Lane last year?
Well, here's a little problem is that I can currently see the answer to this trivia question.
Yes.
So I'm going to just, vamp for a little bit to give the audience time to think and try to decide how many receivers had more touchdown catches than Jacoby Lane last year. And then I will tell them that there was only one.
Yeah, it was Jeremiah Smith.
Yes.
At Ohio State. Yeah. Lane was tied for 5th nationally in touchdown catches with 12. Of all that means there's 4 players ahead of him that could potentially come back this season, right? But of those 4 players, 2 of them have graduated, Nick Nash and Kyle Williams from Washington State. Some guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, Travis Hunter. I don't know if you heard of him. Mm-hmm. He's in the NFL now. He had more touchdown catches last year. Didn't he win the Biletnikoff last year? And the Heisman, and Jeremiah Smith. So Jeremiah Smith, the only guy still in college football who had more touchdown catches than him. Jacoby Lane, not on the Biletnikoff watch list. This, to me, is a bigger snub than SC not being ranked in the preseason coaches poll.
Especially because you just need to be breathing in order to qualify for the watch list. These
watch lists, they get made by someone going to CFP stats and then sort by all the production stat. How do you miss Jacoby Lane in that instance?
Okay, it's time for story time, though, because a few years back, while I was covering USC on Reign of Troy, on reignoftroy.com, there was a preseason watch list for the Biletnikoff that was put out, and it was missing a name. Do you remember who that name was? 2016, I think?
Was it Juju?
Juju was not on the watch list.
Yeah.
I wrote an article saying, this is a snub. Juju should be on this watch list. And I got an email from the guy who runs the freaking Biletnikoff Award or whatever saying, don't call it a snub, getting mad at me because I called it a snub. And it's this is just the watch list and we just sort of do that and he can get put on it later or whatever. And I was like, no, but it was a freaking snub. I'm sorry. I know you don't want me to say that it was a snub, but also this was a damn snub.
It's meaningless, but it's a snub on a meaningless thing.
And by the way, I got proven very correct that it was very much a snub.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he was a finalist for the award that year. But it's just one of those things, they miss guys, especially if you're the number two, they see Mekhi Lemon's the best receiver on this team. And so they just leave it at that. But yeah, Jacoby Lane deserves to be on the watch list at least. Does it matter? Does it change whether or not Jacoby Lane will be good or not this season? No.
Yeah.
But he deserves to be there.
It means literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like we talked about. I'm pulling up the actual list right now. How many people are on this list? I mean, it looks pretty. How many? Does it say how many names are on this? It looks like 50 names.
But they do it in two. They add to it later.
Yeah, I don't know.
Arbitrarily, I guess.
If you put a gun to my head and said, "Should Jacoby Lane be on the watch list?" I'd say sure, but I don't really care.
Okay, but
it only annoys me because he did have the 12 touchdowns, but doesn't matter.
There's just guys on this watch list that are just okay, I don't know. I get it. Ryan Williams obviously, but you got to put Jeremy Bernard on there for Alabama. I don't know what were his stats last year. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to the mailbag, shall we?
You've got mail.
Okay, Jeremy Bernard had 50 catches for 794 yards and 2 touchdowns. What did Lane have?
It was 46, I think.
Yeah. So, more yards, but way fewer touchdowns. I don't know. Whatever.
All right, let's get to a Discord message that we got from Tim in LA. Based on USC's reasonable expectations for this upcoming season, what performance would you constitute an above average expectations, absolutely amazing season? Likewise, what do you think would be pretty good, medium, bad, and a wheels falling off disaster? Ideally, this is just regarding USC's record and on-field performance and not injuries, arrests, etc. I don't believe in jinxes, but I'd rather not put that up to the test. Let's say you.
Okay, I ended up creating my categories, and I separated absolutely amazing and above expectations. So my sort of lineup is absolutely amazing, above expectations, pretty good, medium, bad, wheels fell off, disaster. So we will start with wheels fell off, disaster, 6-6, 5-7. Any area where USC is flirting with. If we are talking about bowl eligibility in November, wheels fell off, disaster. I'm out. No, thank you. Not here for it. I do not want to have to go through that season.
Yeah.
No, thank you. 7-5 is bad. 7-5 is bad because you're just standing pat. You cannot have the season that USC had last year and then come out this season and have the same season.
Mm-hmm. Especially on the surface when the schedule is
Yes, more reasonable.
More manageable than
because
last
you should have 4 wins before the start of October.
Yeah.
And if you don't, bad. So just straight up, you cannot be Nebraska. Do not be Nebraska. 7-5, you're entering Nebraska. 8-4 is medium. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I think that probably means that you lost to Michigan and Notre Dame and Oregon and maybe Illinois.
Is heavily dependent on the context of that 8-4.
Okay, if your 4 losses are Michigan, Notre Dame, Illinois, and
given the unrest that SC fans have at the moment, 8-4 will not satisfy anyone as a medium.
No, but it will be very medium, very mid,
Sure.
medium mid in the sense of like, is this objectively wheels fell off disaster? No, but is anybody happy? No, nobody's. No, this is the medium place.
Sure,
it's you got beer, but it's room temperature.
Yeah.
You know, like
not good enough to celebrate, not bad enough to celebrate. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So for pretty good, we're going up to 9-3. 9-3 means you've won 9 games, which I presume means you've won the games that you should win.
Mm-hmm.
As we always say, 9-3 is always a tricky spot because 9-3 looks different if those 3 are blowout losses versus, you played Oregon tough and you played Michigan or Notre Dame tough and, you barely heartbreakingly lost those games and you're 9-3, but, you looked like you could have won every game, right? Pretty good. Fine. 10-2 is above expectations, which is to say that now we're talking about you have taken care of business against the other sort of ranked-ish teams that are on the schedule, i.e. your Illinois and your Michigans, and you've probably lost to the 2 teams that are going to be in the playoff, i.e. Oregon and Notre Dame. If the 2 losses are not to those 2 teams, then you probably had more of a Pete Carroll type season, which is to say that you got a big win. You beat one of those 2, Notre Dame and Oregon. Big win. But you also probably just, packed a Big Ten road opener, gotcha, or something, one of those.
You lost at Nebraska.
Yeah, whatever it was. Like, just, you got somewhere. But if you have a big win, you got that big win and 10 wins overall, you're feeling pretty good. Like, that is really competitive. 11-1, absolutely amazing. Because that means you've won 11 wins and you beat one of those 2 teams and you're in the playoff. Guaranteed. 11-1 gets you in the playoff. 10-2 probably gets you in the playoff. So 11-1, absolutely amazing. Off the charts, 12-0. Is it possible? Sure. But I didn't want to put it on the charts.
I agree with this. I think this is a good way of putting it. My only thought is, first, my general thought is always, what does it look like, right?
Yeah.
Like, I say this every year. I'm probably annoying that I say this all the time. But what does it look like, right? Like, were you down to the 3rd string quarterback and you lost the game because you down? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What does it look like, right?
Yeah.
I think a 10-2 can be absolutely amazing if it's a situation where you lose to Illinois by a late field goal, valiant effort.
On the road,
They're ranked number 9, and you lose on the road 24-21. You were in the game. It was a classic football game. You lose that one. You go to Notre Dame.
But it makes you better. It like losing that game makes you better. Yeah.
Yeah. You go and you face number 1 Notre Dame and you lose in overtime. And then you go into Eugene and you beat Oregon. Like, that's an incredible season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you telling a story? Are you telling us a story where USC is growing? This was the great thing.
You've gotten better throughout the season.
The best thing that Pete Carroll seasons always had was there was always a coherent story. Like, those teams,
like a 2002 season.
Yeah, those teams just always got you were on a journey with them, and that journey was always trending upwards. Even if there were little hiccups through and through, you always knew you were going to end up somewhere good.
2002, SC loses at Kansas State in a game that was super windy and Mike Williams couldn't catch a pass.
Yeah.
They lose a week or so later, like triple overtime against Washington, a really good Washington State team, up on the Palouse. That was a Washington State team that went to the Rose Bowl with Jason Gasser at quarterback, right? And then they win every other game, and they dominantly beat a top 10 Notre Dame team at the end of the season, and Carson Palmer wins the Heisman. Yeah. There's a world where that happens, where like your early stumbles are Illinois and Michigan, and then you beat everybody else and you tell a story, you get better. There's a world that happens. There's also a world in which this is the 2023 Redux. SC starts the season 6-0, and then gets absolutely turtle forked by Notre Dame and Oregon, and stumble at Nebraska, and then end up losing an embarrassing game to UCLA where they just have no interest. You know what I mean? It's all possible.
Yeah. West Texas Mike in the chat says, in all caps, can we stop referring to the Notre Dame game as a loss? We cannot, though. I'm sorry. We can't. USC has not beaten Notre Dame in South Bend since 2011, guys.
Yeah.
You cannot say it's a win until you prove you can win there. You cannot, it's just, you have to get over that hump before I will even consider that game is a win. And the problem I have is that Notre Dame is always freaking beatable.
Yeah.
Like, USC has never faced a Notre Dame team that was unbeatable. It's just USC was, being USC for the last decade. So that's not it. That's not it. Yes, I agree. I think that USC should always go into the Notre Dame game and think that they can win that game. But until USC goes into South Bend and proves that they can win that game, I have to pencil it in as a likely loss, because quite frankly, it is a likely loss at this stage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I agree with you. I think this is the one thing, like, I'm not calling out West Texas Mike here, but like a lot of times we get comments of like, why are you too negative? Why are you too positive? And all this kind of stuff. So much of it goes down to, I will believe when I am proven that there's a reason to believe.
Yeah.
I will believe SC can go into South Bend when there is a reason to sit here and say that, like there's an obvious argument to make.
Yeah.
I think that SC can be competitive against Notre Dame. They were competitive against Notre Dame last year. Yeah, SC has been competitive at South Bend several times in the last decade. They have not won in the last decade. You know what I mean? So
yeah. West Texas Mike says, I'm 0-3 in South Bend. So maybe you're the problem, West Texas Mike. Maybe you should stop scheduling that road trip. Maybe this is maybe you are cursed. And when you stop going to the Notre Dame game, USC will find. I mean, I'm 0-1 in South. Wait, no. Have I done 2? No, 1.
I am 0-2.
I am 0-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up what the number one song was.
In 2011. Good Lord. There's a Wikipedia for this.
There is. I'm trying. I was on the. Here we go. The number one song in. Oh my God. Okay. At the beginning of October in 2011, it was "Moves Like Jagger." That's incredible. That's incredible. Later on, October 15th, 2011. It was "Someone Like You" by Adele, which doesn't feel that old to me.
Yikes. Yeah.
"Moves Like Jagger" feels like it's ancient. Yeah.
Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style, I think, was 2012. Yeah.
It's just really depressing to look at. It's really depressing to go to Winsipedia and look at just the current state of the rivalry, because USC is not doing well in the rivalry right now, and it's not like the long streak like there has been in the past, but Notre Dame has had the edge for over a decade now, and I would like that to stop, personally. So if USC could do a thing, that would be very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's get to a question we got in the YouTube chat from Cameron. In Frisco, Texas. What are your thoughts? We're veering into off-topic stuff, by the way. What are your thoughts so far on the new season of Big Brother? Do you like Rachel as returning house guest? If not, who would you have preferred to return to the Big Brother house?
I like Rachel as a returning house guest because I think she's just, she's interesting. She's always going to
She can be entertaining.
Bring the drama. Yeah, I dig it. This new season of Big Brother is painful, is what I will say.
Brutal.
Cameron, I do not know if you're watching the feed, so I don't want to give anything away. But I will say that there are currently discussions among feed watchers and people in the community about whether or not this is the stupidest Big Brother cast in the history of the game.
They're making season 9 and season 16. And 15, giving them all a run for their money.
This is a lot of people doing things that they should not, that are going against their interest for reasons.
Yeah.
As for who would I have preferred to return to the Big Brother house, I am low key against returning players because I feel like Rachel's in this situation, like she can't win.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it kind of makes it boring because...
spoil the feats, even though this is not going to be on the show because they never would put this on.
Yeah.
She was begging to go home
leave,
this week.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't want to get stuck on the jury and be away from her family that long if she's not going to have a chance to win. But, like, the fact is she just doesn't have a chance to win, realistically, because, number one, she's not the comp beast that she used to be because she's gotten older and, you know, the game has passed her by in that sense. And number two, because no one's going to vote for somebody who's already won the $500,000. Like, I'm sorry.
I either have an All-Stars 3 or have nobody. And All-Stars 2 was so awful that at this point, I'd rather just have new people.
I personally think it would be fun if they were going to do a returning player season. I think it should be all comp beasts. So, like, get Michael Bruner, get Jag, get, you know, anybody who, like, was winning.
So that way someone can't just run through.
So then it's just like, okay, it's a game of compies. Like, you know, we'll find out who actually are good at comps and who were just circumstantially better than everybody who was bad at comps. So
that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. All right, we got an email from Michael in the Valley. I think this is Michael Castillo.
This is
in the Valley.
A YouTube chat.
Oh, no, we got an email.
Michael in the Valley. Okay,
yeah, Michael Castillo in the Valley says, top 4 U.S. cities, go.
Okay.
I got lots of opinions on this. Thank you for asking. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is because this is going viral on Twitter. Sorry, not Twitter, TikTok. And I feel like there's so many people with the wrong answer to this. The top 4 cities, undoubtedly, there's one answer. And the answer is New York, LA, Chicago. And pick your poison for number 4. That's what it is. Any other answer? Like, the one that originally went viral was someone saying Miami, Atlanta, Houston, and something. Like, I don't even think New York, LA, or Chicago was in it. I was like, what? What? I see a lot of people make the argument for Houston. I think Houston has no business being in it. The 4th city is like, pick your poison between Boston, San Francisco, Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, Philadelphia. Any of those. Maybe you take Dallas out of there.
I think I agree with you that the 3 are obvious: New York, LA, Chicago.
Yes.
There are just no question.
Yeah.
I think you can absolutely make a case for Miami and just let that be your sort of more southeast representative of the group. I have
trouble with Miami, though.
I wouldn't put San Francisco in there, but I'm also a San Francisco hater.
I saw somebody say that.
Not that I hate San Francisco. It's
that
just
this should be based on the world's preference, or like what the biggest 4 the world would see, and that would include San Francisco and Miami.
Miami, yeah.
And like, if you're talking about international cities, yes, it's LA, New York, San Francisco, Miami. I will listen to that argument any day of the week. That is the only reason in which Chicago would not be in there, but that is a different list. That is top 4 international cities.
Yeah.
If we're just talking about top 4, the big 4 U.S. cities, Chicago is in there. There's no... What are we doing? Also, I hear people make the argument for New Orleans. New Orleans, I'm sorry, doesn't belong in the top 4 either. Sagar in the chat says New York, LA, Chicago, San Francisco. I will listen to that. Yeah, I will listen to that. I think I put Atlanta as my number 4.
I like Atlanta as
Philly,
my
or
number 4.
Boston.
I like Atlanta as my phone number 4. I understand the instinct to put something from Texas, in which case I'll go Austin.
Texas and Florida have the issue of like
there's
they need
too
to
many
be
cities.
collectively a state.
Yeah.
Like you and I watched a TikTok the other day that was like the top 4 states. If the top 4 we're doing top 4 states, it's California, Texas, Florida, and then you have to pick somebody else. And that's New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, like pick your poison.
Yeah.
But like Texas and Florida need to belong, but that would be states, not cities. There's too many different cities in those states. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even Miami, like South Florida, I think has way more than just Miami has to offer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, Los Angeles is also like, what is LA?
Yeah.
Cam
Lice says it's Philly, hands down.
I mean, could you say Seattle?
No. If we're talking about best or favorite, yes. If you're talking about like the top 4 major, no, Seattle's not in there.
Uh-huh.
Seattle wouldn't even be. Seattle is sort of an international city to some extent from just being on the West Coast and having like international flights to Asia and whatnot. But like, no, San Francisco would be over Seattle at that point. So, yeah. All right.
We should do sorry, Sagar is asking about a Rot follower meetup, like a meetup at the end of the month, which we have talked, we do want to do. Last year we did a tailgate, which was fun, except that like we're bad at tailgates because our grill never works, or
there's always something going wrong.
We don't have enough seating, or there's this or this, that. So now I was thinking like, should we just do it at our, and I won't say the name, Michael, for, reasons, but you'll know what I mean when I say like our local ideal bar place that would, is
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
not a bad idea. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're always sort of game for those kind of things. We did Shakey's a couple years ago.
Shakey's was fun.
As sort of a joke, and it was fun. So, did get a YouTube chat from Michael E that says, "Yes, sir, my favorite couple. Fun fact, I think I saw them in Ralph's years ago in Sunland, California, next to the Sizzler. This was before they announced they were a couple." Okay, so
this is legitimately funny.
It's hilarious, but also this is why I don't venture outside the house.
Well, I mean, what is funny is that you absolutely saw us at a Ralph's in Sunland, Michael, because we used to live around there, and that Ralph's next to Sizzler was literally like our Ralph's. Yeah,
this must have been before I started exclusively doing online orders.
Yeah. Well, COVID had a lot to do with that too.
Well, I needed to avoid the entourage and the paparazzi.
I know, the paparazzi just all over the place, but hey, we're being recognized. We can add another belated recognition.
Where does this rank from being recognized on the cruise in the middle of the ocean?
What I love about this being recognized on the cruise, wild, because just like there's only a couple thousand people on that cruise, and whatever. But I do think it's really funny that like we have not lived there in like several years. So this was years ago. Yeah, and like, it's entirely possible that Michael didn't see us and that he just saw some random people at a Ralph's in Sunland and it's like, I don't know how that could be us. No, like it was 100 billion% us. Yeah. So like, I think this is just really funny that like there was somebody in that Ralph's, us unknowing, who thought to themselves, that's Michael and Melissa from Radio Troy. But then, didn't come up and talk to us because, we're all awkward people, and that's fine. We get it.
I didn't realize I was doing this, but this hat is a Doughboys hat, and we had the awkward.
Oh yeah,
we for our wedding anniversary, we decided we were going to go to Tam O'Shanter, and one of the reasons I mentioned Tam O'Shanter was because I was listening to the Doughboys that week, and they were talking about going to Tam O'Shanter and how they have been going there a lot lately, or whatever it was, right? And so I'm like, oh yeah, we should go. We haven't been in a while. Make a reservation. We go there, and sitting 2 tables away is Mitch from Doughboys, which was like, we were just listening to them talk about this place, and they're there.
Michael was freaking out.
No,
Michael
I was composed.
You were freaking out.
I was very composed. I don't get. I don't get starstruck.
He spent the entire dinner talking at a whisper because he didn't want anybody near us to hear him. And I was just like, I can't hear you. And he's like, that's. I'm like, oh, I don't know who.
Have you seen the Seinfeld episode where Kramer sees Joe DiMaggio dunk his donut?
Yes, I have seen that.
Yes, it was not going to be one of those things where I was just going to, yeah, I wasn't going to be doing one of those.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I've queued up Badger to bark. So.
You guys definitely won't be hearing this because our sound is good enough, but Badger has literally spent the last hour howling.
They might have heard.
I don't know. It's
yeah. All right. We'll be back next week. Monday there will be an audio only episode posted Monday. It'll be with our friends Crosstown Pod, Jake Merrifield from the What's Brewing Show. Also, we have, and I need to add this to my board before we get there, the from Travel Haze Thursdays, Kenny Martin going to be on there. We love Kenny, we love Jake, two of our best friends in the world. We're going to record a podcast with them later this week. It's going to be audio only. It's going to go up on Monday. We will be back here, YouTube side of things, next Wednesday, 4 p.m. We're going to start looking ahead towards the season a little bit more, look at more camp headlines and whatnot. 2 weeks from today a week from Monday, the 18th, we're going to preview the offense. 2 weeks from today, we're going to preview the defense. Episode 612 would be on August 25th, the season predictions episode, with our 28-page rundown. And then 3 weeks from today, episode 613 will be the USC versus Missouri State preview. So, looking forward to that.
It's exciting. Season's almost here.
It's all happening.
Yep.
It's all happening. So, all right, we'll be back next time. Until then, we will see ya.
See ya.
See ya.